How's everybody today? Good. Well, I thought we had a much better day today. It was good to get outside. Players had good focus, good mindset. We really been trying to emphasize this week, discipline, self-control, paying attention to detail, do the little things right. I think if you're ever going to have peace of mind as a player, a person, or anything you do in your life, knowing that you tried your best to do it right is what gives you that. And we're certainly trying to get that done with our players, in terms of their personal behavior, their academics, as well as what they do on the field. People who can't do that kind of get a little distorted sometimes, and that's not going to help us be who we want to be and do what we want to do. So creating the right habits, goes a long way. I mean, if you walk a lot, it's good. If you run a lot, become a good runner. Practice the right way, become a better player. But I think there's also a mindset in terms of discipline, choices, decisions that you make, all right, that also conditions you to have the right habits so that you have a better chance to play with more consistency. And that's something that we've really been trying to focus on this week. We have lots of respect for Arkansas and Coach Lehman, the job he's done here, and their style of football is, tough, hard-nosed, downhill. They can score a lot of points. They've scored a lot of points on several occasions. They're really sound on defense. So we're going to have to do a good job of executing to be able to accomplish what we'd like to accomplish at homecoming, which is a big tradition for us at the University of Alabama. And we're also looking forward to seeing Coach Stallings and his team back for the 25th anniversary of their national championship. So it's an exciting weekend, and we hope to do well. Brandon Kennedy had to practice indoors yesterday and had an ankle injury that required some surgery. So he's going to be out for an extended period of time, not knowing for sure how long at this point.
Coach, we'll start here on the right with Chandler.
Arkansas's got some uncertainty about who they're going to play at quarterback on Saturday. Does that alter your game plan at all, and if so, how?
Well, typically, when I get asked this question, it depends on the style that the quarterbacks play. And Allen is a great passer, very athletic, quick, can make all the throws. The second guy is a little different style. I'm not sure they'll change their offense, but when he has played, they've done more quarterback runs. This guy's like 6'7", 270 pounds. In fact, when I first started watching the film, I thought he was a wildcat quarterback that was a tight end. But as he's played more, he has a good arm, and he can throw the ball effectively. So the guy's a pretty good player. Now, we don't know if they'll change styles with him as a quarterback. So we have to prepare for some things that they could do with him. But we can't really change because we don't really know, and we'd be defending ghost, if we tried to figure it out. We can't really figure it out. So we may have to adapt in the game. But wouldn't be unusual most times for us. Whoever we play does something a little bit different against us, so it wouldn't be unexpected if it happened this week.
Go in the middle with Jason.
Yeah, Nick, I just was curious what a guy like Ronnie Clark and his perseverance and character, what he does for the rest of the team when you have a guy like that.
Well, I think it's an interesting question because, in this day and age, we have a lot of guys that we really try to sell them on the fact that they have to work to develop, and they're not going to really have instant self-gratification for everything they want to accomplish the very first day they come here. And guys like Ronnie Clark, I think, set a tremendous example, who's been here for 5 years, gone through 2 Achilles surgeries, never been a star player, but gets to play here and there a little bit. But there's not a more willing soul on our team to do whatever he needs to do for the team. If he needs to go to scout team, be a running back, he'll do it. He needs to get in goal line and be a fullback, he'll do it. He's got a great attitude, does everything like you'd like a guy to do. There's a lot of stuff going on in this country right now about respect. Somebody doesn't respect me, I don't respect them. But there's no one that has any more self-respect, which I think is the most important thing, which means my character, my standard, how I live. It's not about how somebody else does something. Than Ronnie Clark. He has tremendous respect and leadership, and, you know, even though he's not a good, maybe the best player on the team, and maybe he doesn't play as much as some other guys, and maybe he's not even a star. But when it comes to having the right heart to be a competitor, to contribute to the team, nobody does it better.
Come back over here, Michael.
How would you describe the on-field personas of Anthony Averett and Levi Wallace?
Say that again.
The on-field persona of those two, how they are on the field. Like,
You know, I guess I got to back up. I mean, I'm from West Virginia, so what exactly does persona mean? Is that the same thing as persona?
sure.
Okay. Well, you know, both guys are different. You know, they kind of quiet leaders that kind of go about their work. They don't say a lot to the other guys. I think Levi, as you know, the players think he's quite the technician because he tries to do everything exactly right and really focuses and works hard on things. And I think that goes with the guy that's, you know, come up the way Levi's come up, because he was a walk-on, had to do everything right, had to be an overachiever, so he had to learn and try to overcome things, work hard to do that. So he's learned to overcome adversity and do that. And Anthony never played defensive back before, so he went through 2 or 3 years of sort of learning the position. And he's become a really good player for us and a good cover guy. So both guys are a little bit different personality-wise, but in their own way, they're good competitors and do a really good job, and it's really important to them to do well.
Down front here with Mark.
I just want a quick update on Deshaun Hand. How is he progressing in his rehab, and when do you expect him back?
I can't really make that call. You know, it's a medical decision. I know he's doing well. All reports are positive. He won't play in this game, and we'll take it week to week from there. But I really can't tell you that.
We'll go in the back with Scott.
Nick, it looks like Anthony's affected the quarterback pretty good since he's come back. If you can discuss that, and then how his play may have elevated the rest of the defensive line on the quarterback pressure.
Well, Anthony Jennings was, you know, probably the one outside linebacker who had the most experience. Really strong, physical, good competitor, can pass rush. Then the other two guys that we were really counting on both got hurt in the Florida State game and are out for the year. So he was kind of the lone ranger, even though he missed a couple weeks himself. And he has shown tremendous leadership. He's really helped the other guys that are young players that may not have played much this year develop and be able to play more effectively. But from a leadership standpoint, from a personality standpoint, from a competitive standpoint, I think he's been one of our most consistent performers on defense, and he can pass rush and he can play the run. He's physical, he's strong, and he sets a good example for the other players. So we're really pleased with him.
Here in the middle with Alex.
Where have you seen Matt make the most Matt Womack make the most strides from that right side? Obviously, he's held on to that position all year and even moved around a little bit in your jumbo packages. But where have you seen him improve the most?
Well, I think Matt's a smart guy that has really worked hard to develop the kind of strength and be physical enough to play. He's a fairly athletic guy. I think the thing that we keep working with him on is to play with better pad level, play lower so he can play with even more power, have a little better leverage in what he does. But he has been a good performer for us, and he's played well, and we're happy and pleased with the progress that he's made. And because he's got some versatility as a player, you know, he could play guard if we needed him to. That's very helpful too, as well, to help us get the best guys on the field if, you know, something does happen to someone, which we hope doesn't, but it could. And so he's done a nice job, really good job.
Back with Reiner.
How do you think Brian Dable has mixed and matched personnel, and how much does that also kind of, I guess, increase the focus of the players, knowing that they have a chance to get on the field at any time?
Well, I think that Brian has done a good job utilizing the players that we have. Hopefully we can even do a better job. I thought, there was a few guys that we'd have liked to have seen play a little bit more in the last game. We need to get Josh Jacobs involved a little bit more in the game. Najee Harris is a very good player. We'd like to get him involved more in the game. I think the young receivers are making nice progress, Jerry Jeudy, Ruggs, Smitty, and I think we need to play those guys more because I think in the long run, those guys getting better is going to make us better. So I think Brian has done a really good job. I don't think we played particularly well on offense in the last game, and there's a lot of reasons for that. You got to give Texas A&M a lot of credit for that, and I think we need to make some improvement. We didn't control the line of scrimmage like we need to. We made some explosive runs, but we didn't make consistent runs where we controlled and blocked, and we had trouble communicating up front because of the noise, which was a bit of an issue, especially on the offensive line. So we're focusing on trying to get those guys to improve so that maybe we can utilize more skilled players. I think that would help us. Damian Harris has been probably our most consistent guy. Him and Calvin Ridley have both been very productive and done a great job all year long, but we need more guys to be able to step up and be playmakers when we need them. I think when Calvin went out of the game, there was a little bit of an absence, there of guys that could step up and make plays and actually hurt us with drop balls, lining up in illegal formations as receivers, fumbling the ball in a critical situation in the game, which allowed them to get back in the game. But those players are capable, and we have confidence in them, and they need to play with confidence. I feel sorry sometimes for some of our players who have a lot of pressure on them, a lot of anxiety created because they fear for their future. They're not playing well enough. They're not catching enough passes. They're not doing enough to show somebody that they could play at the next level. And they put so much pressure on themselves that it really affects their performance because, we want everybody to have high achievement motivation, but low anxiety, confidence, great want to, but not a lot of anxiety and question marks and fear of failure. So we need some of our players to just understand that I need to play well the next play and just keep trying to focus on that rather than being so result-oriented and worrying about something that's going to happen 3 or 4 months from now.
Two quick ones right here. Kirk and Tony.
Coach, there's a perception, maybe a justifiable perception, that college football is getting divided into a group of haves and a larger group of have-nots, and maybe the divide's widening. And I wonder, I know there are cycles and there are so-called upsets, but I wonder what you think about that so-called perception.
Well, I don't think I think it's always been that way. When they play games, I think up there when Rhode Island plays whoever they play, they have a picnic after the game. That doesn't happen around here. We got 100,000 people. We got an SEC championship game. We're trying to get in the playoffs. But we all have the same rules. So maybe we should have a separation. Maybe we should have a divide. Maybe we should sort of have different governing bodies make choices and decisions for the Power 5 conferences versus other places. Look, I have a tremendous amount of respect for those other places. I played at one of those other places, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to do it. It was a great experience for me, and it gave me an opportunity to get an education. But I'm just saying it's not the same. It's not the same. We don't have the same issues. We don't have the same problems to solve in the future. And I think those things may be important to competitive balance. And I also think that, we should take the fans into consideration more in terms of quality of schedule that we play and change the way we decide who goes to bowl games. I've been through all this stuff before. So, we won't change the schedule and play better teams because everybody's got to win 6 games to go to a bowl game. So why can't we do like the basketball tournament and just rank the teams and pick the best teams to go to the bowl games, and strength of schedule would really mean something. And then we could play 10 teams in the SEC and 2 other BCS Power 5 teams, all right, and fans would have great games to go to.
You had said earlier in the week that you'd be able to make a better evaluation of Tony Brown. What's his status heading into the?
He was able to do some stuff at practice today. You know, his position is probably a little harder to play with a sprained knee. He can run straight ahead pretty well, but the change of direction, stopping and starting, redirecting, those are probably the most difficult things. But he's actually made faster progress than I had hoped. So that's very encouraging. Whether he'll be able to do enough to be able to have a role in this game, we'll probably have to wait and see. You know, if he can do a little more tomorrow, that would be even more encouraging.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.